Welcome to Let's Talk About It, the podcast, where we shine a light on the change agents and everyday heroes who shape our communities. Here, we dive deep into the lived experiences of our guests, exploring the milestone moments that have either propelled them forward or changed their paths. We anchor every conversation in two foundational pillars of the Black community: books and music. Through this unique lens, we capture, entertain, and inform, weaving a rich tapestry of stories and insights that resonate, inspire, and spark meaningful dialogue. Join our host, TJ Lowry and Shatima Grisham, as they engage with thought leaders and community change agents to uncover the rich tapestry of experiences that shape our lives. Get ready for insightful discussions, unfiltered perspectives, and the celebration of Black excellence. Let's talk about it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk About It, the podcast. I'm your girl TJ here, and I'm so excited to get into today's podcast. Before we jump into the conversation, though, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Shatima. Let's talk about it, Shatima. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. Thanks, TJ, for the intro. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. We have a wonderful guest coming up, so excited to get into that. But before we do, I know that we are HR professionals and it's taboo and we've been preconditioned not to talk politics. But did you get a chance to watch the DNC the last few days?
Not. It has been a party, right?
Yes.
Like we've never seen a DNC like
No,
this.
the turnup has
so
been great.
Excited for it. Yeah. What was one of your favorite highlights?
You know, I love Auntie Michelle. So she's forever my first lady. So she was a mic drop for sure.
She was. Well, I think she is going to go viral. We're going to try to figure out how to bring her back in the White House because she was reading the people.
Absolutely. I made it really hard to get up and go to my Black job the next day.
I know, right? I know. So, well, who are you inviting or introducing us to join us on our podcast today? Who are you introducing us to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are lucky to have Mr. Zion Givens. Welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah, welcome back, Zion.
Appreciate
We're
it.
excited to get into part 2 with you.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, Zion is the co-founder and presenter of Up to It, which is an organization that works with youth, families, and organizations to help them connect, communicate, and thrive. Prior to Up to It, he worked at a local nonprofit called Not My Kid, and he was the youth prevention team lead there. He is also a native to Arizona, from Tucson, Bear Down, Bear Down. So it is great to have you here again with us.
Yo, thanks for having me again. I'm super excited.
Good. Well, Zion, I think you know this already, but as HR practitioners, we do like icebreakers just to kind of warm up the room, get us into the combo. So we've got a cute little icebreaker here called Talk to Me. So we're going to ask you a question. Just think and tell us the first thing that comes to mind. All right. So this time around, tell me your favorite hip hop artist.
J. Cole.
Oh, no hesitation.
Yo, no hesitation.
Nice.
Is it the lyrics?
It's the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's the humility. It's the intellectual. Yeah, I mean, I love the guy. That's my man. 100%.
I was nervous for him this summer though when Kendrick came for him. I was nervous. Nervous.
I was so happy that he bowed out.
He stepped back. He was smart, right?
Very smart. Kendrick was like, "Yo,
my beat."
Kendrick was like, "Yo, hey, you might want to sit this one out." He's like, "Oh, you
right.
He
did. He said, "Y'all go ahead."
Exactly.
Love it.
Oh, what about your favorite hip hop music video?
Oh, music video. Dang. You know what? I'm gonna go Kiss Kiss, T-Pain, Chris Brown.
Okay.
That was a fun music video.
That was good.
It's funny you went back because I feel like we grew up watching Video Soul and 106 in Park. Do the kids have video shows now?
Not anymore. Not like they used to.
Remember the box?
Yeah. That was good. The 106 in Park was my day. Every Friday. I was always tuning into Terrence Howard and what they got going on.
That was free.
6 foot, 7 foot was like by Lil Wayne was going viral and everybody was going crazy.
Remember Mr. Bow Wow was Mr. 106 in Park.
He was 100%.
But they don't have a video show.
Not like that no more.
Just have to stream it.
Yeah, we got to stream it YouTube. You know how it goes.
They missing out.
They are.
Tell us your favorite R&B album of all time.
R&B album of all time. Yo, I love this conversation. Oh my God. Now I can rattle off some. but I think I'm gonna go. I might throw it back here. That's a tough question.
You almost have to with R&B.
Mhm.
You do. I mean, they don't make R&B like they used to no more.
No.
It's all pop now.
Right.
Mhm.
Ooh, R&B. See, now you got me over here tripping and stumbling.
And it would be Usher for me.
Which one? Which
Yeah.
album?
I don't care.
You don't
Yeah.
care? Anyone?
804. I mean,
H-E-R.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the older Usher. I didn't
Yeah.
listen to the new Usher.
You know
so.
what? I might go a little bit more modern then. I might go Bruno Mars, Anderson Silk, Silk
Okay.
Sonic.
They had a
Silk Sonic.
banger.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was such a great album.
That was
I
a good
loved it.
collab.
It was. So what was that? Silk Sonic.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that one.
Good stuff.
What about a pop song that you always get you dancing?
A pop song that always gets me dancing. I'm gonna go Doja Cat and Gucci Mane. I don't know if you heard that song before. It was like big
not
during
sure.
big during the pandemic. Me and my
Mhm.
sister were like riding around. We go get ice cream, and she'd be so embarrassed. I'd be
Which
turning up the
one
music.
was it?
It's is it Like That? I think it's Like That.
Oh,
With Gucci Mane and Doja Cat. That's one of my favorites.
She's one of my gym. She's in my gym rotation. Get into it.
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, that's a good one too.
she's in
Get
my
into
gym
it. Yeah.
rotation. What about a favorite collab? I
Collab.
think you just gave us one.
Yeah,
could
the
kinda
Gucci Mane.
count.
Yeah, that counts.
Doja. Do you have a favorite collab?
I think my favorite collab. Ooh, this is y'all getting some good conversation. Look at this. My favorite collab would probably have to be Run DMC and Aerosmith.
Ooh,
or Tyler
nice.
Steven Tyler.
Yes.
You like to be out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Say
Oh, yeah.
everything.
Love that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have said? Wow,
I wouldn't have never
who
thought
would've
that.
thought
That
that? Okay, good
That was
one.
the one right there. Woo.
Good one.
What about the most underrated artist?
Ooh, most underrated artist. Maybe that doesn't get enough flowers. I'm gonna go. See, and it's funny because I used to have a music podcast and we had conversations like this all the time.
We threw you off.
Yeah, you did. I was
He
like, okay,
talking HR
yeah, I'm talking
today.
HR today. No, underrated artist that doesn't get enough appreciation or flowers. I'm gonna go The Dream.
Yeah.
The
Ooh.
Dream.
He produces too.
Produces
Some
so
bangers.
so
Yeah.
much.
Writes a lot, writes so well.
Mhm.
So much.
That's a good one.
He's
Now,
good.
most people don't know about the beef between him and
Wayne.
Yes,
Yes.
going
Mhm.
back and forth about Nivea and writing.
Mhm.
And
Yup.
people did not know. So
They
that's
don't.
kind of fun. That was a good memory.
Yes.
What about Kendrick and Drake? Who are you picking?
Who? I'm Arizona, so that's close to the West Coast. I'm
West
going
Coast.
K Dot.
Yeah.
Kendrick,
all
man.
right. It feels like he's winning, obviously. So
I mean,
Although I'm kind of over it, I have to admit, I changed
Right.
I changed the station now.
I think Drake even picked Kendrick. He's been playing him at his concert.
right. I think he
Kind of laugh through it.
he conceded, right? So, yeah.
Right. He did.
Yeah. So, are you into PDA?
No.
No, that was a strong no.
Public display of affection. That's what
Yeah,
you're talking about?
that was a strong no.
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 I'm just naturally hot in general, like temperature hot. So to have somebody all up on me is like, especially my fiance, I'm like, oh, please.
That is a handhold.
My hands get sweaty easy. It's just a
Like,
mess.
don't
Yeah,
touch me.
like don't touch me. I'll
This
touch you when I'm
must be a
ready.
native thing.
I don't know.
Are
I
you-
can't co-sign that one.
No, are you
yeah, I
PDA
like
all the way?
PDA.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. Even in this heat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm holding, grabbing your arm. Yes.
He had
I hear
to
you.
text to me when it hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even in the bed cuddling, I'm like, it's hot. It's too hot to be cuddling. What are you talking about? So,
Right. I love that. What was the first concert you remember going to?
T-Pain.
Oh, wow. You are
T-Pain.
serious, T-Pain.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
He's kind of underrated too.
I agree. I
Yeah,
could have thrown him
yeah,
in there too. But
yeah.
that was like in high school. He came to the Pima
Gotcha.
County Fair, and this was so. It's always tied. It's T-Pain and then Lil Yachty, because I saw Lil Yachty
Oh.
right after T-Pain,
Mm-hmm.
and those were two experiences I will never
I love
forget.
it.
I got grounded for a long time for Lil Yachty, but that's a whole
Love
other
that.
conversation for another time.
What about an artist who has the best style?
Best style. Ooh. Who do I try to mimic a lot of? See, I'm not even thinking artist. I'm thinking now, I'm gonna put Devin Booker in there. Is that
Oh, you
appropriate?
went
Is that
to
okay?
Devin.
Yeah, okay.
Really?
Yeah, I like
Okay.
it's simple, it's neutral,
Mhm.
it's baggy, but yet, he has some accent
Kinda
colors in there.
plain.
Kind of plain, but
Yeah.
still there, still,
Yeah.
still looks nice
I
and
feel
clean.
like you picked him because he was a son.
Oh, that's also, that
Okay.
has to be one of the reasons as well.
Alright, very good. What CDs in rotation right now? Or I think we don't see. I'm aging myself. what are you listening to in your Apple Music
There we
or
go. Yeah,
Google
exactly.
Play? What's heavy in rotation?
I still have
Let's see.
CDs,
Do you?
TJ. I
You
do.
do? Where
I
are you
do.
playing them at?
They don't get a lot of playtime, but I still
Fair
have them.
enough. CDs are cool. I mean, they're coming back. So is vinyl records. So,
I
but
do have vinyls.
I do love. I have
I
a
do
vinyl.
have a vinyl record player, so
Yeah.
very cool.
But
What's in rotation?
my rotation right now that I'm listening to a lot of is Blast. I don't know if you ever heard of Blast before. BLXST. Super
I think
dope.
I have.
He's from the West Coast, coming out the same kind of incubator that Kendrick came out of, and all those West Coast artists. So very R&B ish,
Okay.
very
Ish.
hip hop ish as well.
Okay.
Love him. We're gonna go see him in concert in November, so that's exciting.
That's cute. And what's your favorite genre of
So
music?
my favorite genre of music, man, is like I always say hip hop because hip hop is what made me and what raised me. So I'm gonna stick with that. That's definitely where I grew up on.
Okay. Well, tell us when you first fell in love with hip hop.
There's two memories that I have that are quite prominent. The first one, I'll keep it short and brief, is I remember my dad playing "Get Rich or Die Trying" by 50 Cent in the car, and I knew that from that moment, I hopped out in preschool, and I remember that like many men playing behind me. I'm like, nobody's like coming after me. Like I don't know why I'm like listening to this song. Like I got hits on me or whatever, but this was one of the artists that really was prominent in my life. But then as I grew up, I remember the hip hop blogs talking about this new artist and they were hyping him up, and he had like a awesome teddy bear in his album. I was like, okay, this seems kind of interesting. So I played it. That's when I fell in love, and the artist was Kanye West.
College Dropout.
College Dropout.
Yeah.
The blogs were going crazy about him, and I was like, I get it now. I get it. That was my introduction to hip hop.
Everything.
Yeah.
Production wise,
that was a good album.
The skits, Cedric the Entertainer on it, Ludacris. Oh man, I can go on.
I'm trying not to be offended that 50 Cent's album was when you're in preschool because
aging us.
Yes, but I agree. Those are some good ones.
Here.
Those
People
are
are
good
like,
ones
"You're
right
that
there.
So speak to your music, how you got into hip hop. How did you get into the career you're in? Speak to that in the same terms, relatively.
Definitely. So my dad's been in the I'll say nonprofit public speaking world for about 20 plus years. And I never knew what he did for a living growing up. My parents were, I'd be like, yeah, he goes and talks to people and he loves it. And he talks to youth and he always has snacks in his office. That's all I remember. And I never knew what he actually did.
Sure.
And when he came to my school and he did a leadership presentation for a pep assembly for our school. And I remember a student behind me, a peer, and he was like, damn, I wish that was my dad up there. And I remember that interaction that was really brief and really simple, but I overheard it. And I was like, I want to have that same impact and same feeling. Maybe not as a dad, for the young people. I don't want to be a dad. I was like, maybe the cool big brother, maybe the cool uncle right now in this moment. And that's what really got me curious on what is prevention, what is behavioral health, what is mental health, what can we do more? And that's what kind of got me into the field that I'm in now.
Okay, very good. I love that. So when did the beat drop in your career? This would be after those first 16 bars of you realizing like, dang, my dad is cool. And now this is that moment where you really saw yourself in this career and it's taken off. When did the beat drop?
I think the beat dropped for me when I got invited to do a keynote presentation for a nonprofit out here in Arizona called Bring Change to Mind. And when I got that invitation to come out and speak to them, they were I was a little nervous. It was my first time being on this, and I was super young. I think I was 21 at the time, and I don't know what I have to say that's going to be different than what they've heard, or if I'm going to have a lasting impact on them. And so I remember doing the presentation and I got really vulnerable. I was talking about the passing of my grandfather and how that had a huge instrumental role in my life of just kind of mental health. How I just started lashing out on people when I was grieving, and I didn't know why I was lashing out, but now I know I was grieving. I didn't grieve in the proper way, and how that damaged relationships. And we talk about getting cut from the basketball team. It was because of my mouth. It was because I was talking poorly to the coach, and it wasn't because I didn't like him. It wasn't because of that, but it was because I was grieving. So I gave that. So I gave that presentation, and the amount of youth that came up to me after that presentation and let me know that they were going through something similar. And maybe it wasn't a grandfather, but maybe it was a parent. Maybe it was a sibling. Maybe it was an aunt or whoever it was. It was just reaffirming to me that people need to hear some stories that know that they're not alone. And that's when a lot of more clients, I would say, started hitting up the local nonprofit that I worked for previously to be like, we want Z to come out and speak to our youth because it
Love it.
resonated well. And that was when the beat dropped for
That
me.
was the beat drop. I
Yeah.
love
I
that
love
beat
that.
drop.
I
Good
love
stuff.
that. Well, in moving with the theme of music and the soundtrack of your life, let's talk about the verse. So the verse is the part of the song that's used to kind of advance the plot, right? It often tells sometimes the story.
Yeah.
What is the verse of your personal soundtrack?
That's good. It's funny because like when you go on stage and you're presenting, you rattle off all these hip hop lyrics that are like,
Yep.
but then you're in the moment and you get caught and you're like, wait, what lyric do I say that resonates well with everybody? But not even thinking of like a real hip hop lyric. I think one of the biggest things that I tell youth and families is we can't help you if you don't know what's going on.
Right.
We can't help you if you don't know what's
Yep.
going on. And
Yep.
a lot of people feel like that they're a burden to others if they don't ask for help, or if they do ask for help, they don't want to burden anybody. They're afraid of the judgment that they might receive. They're afraid of the
It's true.
backlash and the way that they may be treated afterwards. But my biggest thing is ask for help.
For
We
sure.
can't help you if we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And we can read your body language and your facial expressions to a T, but those are our assumptions unless you tell us, and then we can
Right.
get you the proper help that you deserve and that you need. So that's really what I go by, and I'm trying to do better
Sure.
at practicing what I preach.
For
If
sure.
I'm struggling, I gotta ask for help. I don't have all the answers, but I know somebody in my community, in my network does. So why not reach out?
I love that because I don't believe we teach that early enough to be vulnerable, especially to our boys. Right?
Especially the boys.
Especially the boys.
Yeah.
And you know, as men and, you know, as young boys, you know, instead of telling them you can't cry and be tough, dealing with those feelings and asking for that help.
Yes.
So I love that the organization is focusing on that.
Me too.
100%. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm thinking about me and what I look like. And right now we're seeing an increase in Black suicides, Black young people's
Wow.
suicides. So we're talking
Wow.
about 13 and up. So anybody from 13, we're seeing an increase. But then as well as if you're Black students below the age of 13 are 2 times more likely to die by suicide than their counterparts, than their other peers. And that goes to your sentiment of we need to tell people that in our Black youth that it's okay to ask for
It's
help. You're not
okay.
any less. You're not weak for asking for help. You're not
Right.
any less of a Black person for asking. Like
Yeah.
I don't know where this idea came from that you're not Black enough.
It
You know.
comes from the generational curses. You mentioned it in part one and not in that term, but I heard it, and we've been taught about that. You keeping your head down, right? It's how we've been taught. It's not okay to talk about our feelings. What I think is important is learning how to meet these youth where they are. My son introduced me to Snapchat, having a therapy interactive, chat therapist, and I said, I don't like it. She might tell you to jump off a building. And he said, Mom, relax. It really is just warming me up to the idea of talking to somebody. He said, you are absolutely correct. I need to talk to somebody, but it's uncomfortable. I don't know how to do that. And so that Snapchat, amazingly, introduced him to the concept of having that authentic, vulnerable conversation. And he said, now I'm ready. But I think that's also important, right? Just kind of saying, go to therapy, right? As opposed to kind of really warming them up to it and teaching them why it's okay, and throw out that generational curse of you can't cry because you got to be a hard male. Men have feminine energy
100%.
that they need to also be able to release. So
That's so good. And I'm glad that you were also receptive to the fact of, all right, this is new to me, but if this is working for you and it's warming it up to you, let's continue. I'm gonna keep an eye out, but I'm also gonna make sure that you're well taken care of, but give it a try.
Meeting them where they are.
That's so important. I love that. That's huge.
So the chorus is the heart of the song. It usually captures the main message and emotional essence. It's the part that most people sing along and remember the words. What has been Zion's core message or the chorus in your career, your personal life, or both?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the part one of the up to it, down to it. We do it because we're used to it. That was a chant that my dad used to do with his friends, and it was something that was huge. It was prevalent in my life. So when we talk about up to it, is having a goal, something that you want to achieve that's positive. And if you have, and this is one of my other favorite sayings that I heard from my mentor, Geronda Montano, and she was like, if you have nothing to aim for, you're going to hit it every time.
Oh, I love that.
That's easy,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
But when you have a target and a goal,
Gotta
Yeah,
focus.
you
it
got
gets
to
a
put
little
a little
difficult.
work.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
that reigns true to me. So that's what up to it
Wow.
is. It's having that goal in mind,
Sure.
that passion, whatever that you're driving, and the down to it is that work. Are you
Mhm.
going out, putting in your reps?
Yeah.
Are you
I love it.
doing the research? What are you doing? Are you asking for help? That's the
Right.
down to it. And then we do it is finding that community that's with you.
Mhm.
What community are you that you have to leave to grow, or what
Sure.
community are you growing within already?
Right,
What are
Right.
your resources in
right.
there? So,
True story.
and then the last one is because we're used to it. It's the repetition aspect. It's like you
Yeah.
can't do it just one time.
No.
It's building a habit,
Sure,
right?
that
So that's
muscle.
yeah. It's like going to the gym, as we always say, right? You got to
Yep.
work the muscles, or else
Yep.
you're gonna lose it.
I
So
For
love
sure.
that.
that's
Can I ask I know you like to, like, we met you at a coffee chat,
yeah.
Black HR Society
That was a lot of
event.
fun.
There's a bridge. Thank you. We'll be bringing that back, right,
Yes, we
Fatima?
are.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
That's
End
good.
of the
coming
year,
soon.
we've got some more exciting things coming. Tell us the bridge between Up to It and the HR practitioners, and why you all think it's important to start in that space.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this question up. It goes long winded when we're in person. I'm like, I gotta figure out how to narrow it down. But now since we're on the podcast, you're
I
trapped
know
and you
that's.
gotta
Let's
listen.
take it. We'll do it. Go.
So one of the reasons why we are going into HR spaces, or especially like employee assistant programs, is because we understand how hard it is to be a parent or to care for a child. And we really work with the age range from 11 to 21. It's kind of our sweet spot,
Okay.
working with preteens and then young adults.
Okay.
So we noticed that there is a huge need for somebody to bridge the gap between their youth and the adults that
Yep.
they're caring for these youth. Because I'll go to a school event, or I'll go to school districts and be like, hey, this is what we do for the youth. And they'll be like, we love that. Yes, bring that in for the youth. And I'll be like, oh, well, this is what we do for the adults. And they're like,
Right? Don't nobody want to be
I
rich.
don't need that. No, I don't need
Right.
that. But if it's for the kids, oh, we're there
Right.
for you.
Right.
But if it's for us, nah, we're good. But we noticed that disconnect, and you mentioned it here, where this bridge, this gap, where we're giving the youth the education and they're trying to implement it into their daily lives, but the adults in their lives aren't receiving the same
Right.
information.
Right.
So
Right.
it gets undone and they go back into
Mhm.
old
The
habits.
same stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, where are adults spending most of their time? Oh,
At work.
at work,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
That's
And
right.
we realized that it's hard to get parents to come to an after school night when you just work an 8-hour, 10-hour shift.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, Jamal and Zion are
Yeah.
presenting up. Man, who don't even know these guys? What are
Right.
you gonna tell me that
It's
I don't
true.
already know?
I gotta
It's
make
true.
dinner.
I got another kid that I gotta pick
Yeah.
up. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to this event. So the other thought was, let's do it virtually. But what tends to happen when people do things virtually is they're doing something else. They
Yep.
got to post it up. Okay, yeah, we're cleaning. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good nugget. Okay, all right. But there's something
Yeah.
different about this in-person connection and
For sure.
conversation
Okay.
that like we're having today.
Yeah.
So when we go into these HR spaces, we're really trying to advocate that, hey, not only will this benefit your employees on their personal level, but they show up as their personal selves every day when they clock into this job.
Right.
So we got to care. This shows the employee or your team members that you care about them on a deeper level than
Yep.
just a worker bee to make ends meet. Right.
It's true.
Like, so we're really, and it inspires retention. And I love that when you talked about the organization that you're working with and the
Mhm.
founder of, is you want that retention, that talent, and you want to make sure that we retain this talent. Because as you know the numbers and the stats that
Yeah.
retention's at an all-time low. It's hard to
I
keep
mean,
it's hard to keep people there for a long time, especially talented people.
It's true.
Right? So if employees just take an extra step to be like,
Yeah.
we got something that will help you out, and invite us into their spaces. Not even us. It doesn't have to be us. It can be another organization or whatever.
Yeah. But just
And
fill the need.
fill the need.
Fill the need.
Fill
So
the
what
need.
my question, I noticed you talk about the EAP.
Yeah.
Have you
Mhm.
all talked about the health and wellness angle?
Yeah.
I know there is HWAP here, Healthy
Mm-hmm.
Workplaces Arizona. Have you partnered with them to talk about, how, because they really do a great job of infusing health and wellness in the workplaces. But there could be a great opportunity to kind of get into some of those spaces through HWAP.
Mhm.
Definitely no, and I didn't even know that organization existed. So I know this is good to know. This is great information.
For sure. I was also thinking, most companies do some sort of benefits fair. And so having that resource there, but I also love the fact that you guys are supporting that EAP. I know, TJ, I'm sure you get an office full of, employees that are just struggling and it's affecting their work. And so we always kind of resource EAP out, but a lot of times, some of their challenges are with their kids. They're
Yeah,
missing work because of
100%.
this connection or disconnection or, whatever they have going through. So to have a resource that they can, not necessarily a therapist, but just something else getting through that preteen or tween or early young adult stage to partner with them would definitely help. I know a lot of employees that I have reached out to because, they're struggling trying to connect with their kids. And it's not because of an absent parent or anything like that.
not at
It's
all.
just that connection
Yeah.
and age gap. So I love that.
It's different for the millennials, the A, I don't know what they
Mhm.
call them.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
depending on that generation, it is different to connect with them. But we know happy, healthy employees are productive. And so I
Yeah.
think it's a health and wellness angle as
No,
well.
I love that. I love using that angle as well. And I love that you mentioned connectiveness, because the funny part about the presentation is called Conversations That Connect. And that's
Yes.
that's what it's
see?
about. It's having these tough conversations for
Love
stronger
it.
connections. So that's
Love
what
it.
that the presentation's about.
Good
And,
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. I have a 14-year-old and I'm working on it every day.
I hear you.
You
I
think
hear
you're
you.
hip until you have a teenager in the
Right,
house. And
right.
Right.
They remind
Hey,
you of
remind us
how
real
not
quick.
hip you are.
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that.
Oh. All right. So we talked about, the verse and the chorus. And so what's left is the bridge when it comes to a song. The bridge, breaks up that repetitiveness. It's usually what we remember, something catchy. It adds an element of surprise. The hook comes in there and that's what you're kind of jamming to. So, what is your bridge? What is that one thing that, maybe have shook up your life a little bit?
Yeah, I think it was my senior year of high school where, and this is part of my story that I share with the youth when I do my keynote speaking, is in high school I always wore this mask, and they don't tell you in high school when your senior year approaches that when you come back from winter break, a lot of change happens so quickly. It's people are accepting our offer letters to go to different colleges, to different cities, to different states, are going to overseas to serve our military, right? These things, and you're like, wait, I thought we were just gonna go out to dinner all together and hang out and stay the same, or not stay the same, but be in the same environment.
Yeah.
And when that hit for me, it was huge. It was overwhelming. It was something I wasn't prepared for. So what I ended up falling into was uh, this distancing or disassociation is the term with my mental health, where it feels like I was waking up every day, but I was watching myself wake up.
I've
I
been
was,
there.
you know what I
You
mean?
just
And
kind of watching it play out, and
yeah.
it's on auto. It's auto every day.
And I realized that I couldn't have conversations longer than 5 minutes because I couldn't empathize with people. And that was one of my strongest things as a student, still is my empathy. So when that was lost, I was terrified. I was terrified of my own body.
I hear
and
you.
I was like, what is happening? What do I do? What? And then the whole societal thing is, well, I'm Black and Mexican. These are two cultures that we don't talk about mental health, because if you talk about these things, you're weak, you're soft, you're crazy. And in my Mexican culture, it's there's no such thing as depression or stress. There's no Spanish translation for these things, is what the argument was. But I want to let people know that are listening and watching, there are Spanish translations for stress and depression, and it's real. It's a real thing. So there's this internal conflict of, do I talk about this with somebody? Then on top of it, I'm the oldest in my family. I'm the oldest.
How many siblings?
So only two, but I'm the oldest grandkid. I'm the oldest cousin. I'm the oldest brother. So all this weight that's on me, right? And it was just hard. But I realized that I had to have a conversation with my mom, and she met me with grace and supportiveness, and she got me the help that I deserved, and that's what I needed the most.
You need it
So
at that moment.
I would say that was the bridge that really shook me up and made me an advocate for what I'm doing now.
I love it. I love the story. I love the testimony, because when we talk about and look at who you are today, we wouldn't think that. But most of us that have become who we are today have gone through some stuff, have gone through some storms, and some resilience has come out of it. So
100%.
kudos to you, Zion.
I appreciate that.
Tell me what song is like your go-to when you're going through those tough times. It's challenging and you just know it's about to be war. What are you putting on to get you
Yeah.
through, to armor you?
It's funny because I would think people are like, oh, he's gonna pick a hype song, like this is gonna be the one that gets you amped up and ready to go. But I'm gonna go a little bit softer and go something that's a little bit more wordy, lyrical, which is more storytelling, which is a Window Pane, 98 by Window Pane by J. Cole.
Mhm.
And
Your
that,
favorite,
yeah,
right?
yeah, my guy. So I had
Go
always
to.
plug him, and it's the story of just talking about one of the lines that stick out to me is because of the work that I do, where I get to interact with these youth on almost a daily basis. And one of the lines in there, she's like, this little girl came up to me, she said, don't forget me, I won't forget you, how could I with all you've been through? A bullet hit your cousin's temple while he was with you, and while you were talking, I was tearing up, where's the tissue? And these are some of these stories that I hear on a
In
daily,
real
right, in real
life.
life, of like students seeing hope in me and knowing that they're okay, and knowing that the work that we're doing is great work. This is the
For
work that
sure.
needs to be doing, and as my grandfather would call it, it's kingdom work, right?
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
the work
yeah.
of the kingdom. This is what
Mhm.
we're trying
I
to
love
empower our
it.
youth to be great. So I would say Window Pane by J. Cole is one of
Window
those songs that I
pane
listen to reaffirm
to
what
get
we're
you through.
doing.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do. Well, this kind of piggybacks on that. And, we talked about this song, but is there an album that you would recommend for someone to listen to? Maybe that gets them through from front to end
Yeah.
as a go-to?
That's a good question. I don't want to be that guy. Oh, he's J. Cole all the time. Yeah.
I mean, if that's what it is,
He
then
is my
that's what it
favorite
is.
Got to
artist.
be your favorite for a
Eh,
reason.
He is.
I
And
call them prophets,
yeah,
if that helps.
no, that works.
Prophets,
I
'cause
like
they're
that.
giving us a word.
They are. So I'm gonna go 2014 Forest Hill Drive, front to back. If you're struggling and you're trying to figure out what lifestyle do I want to live, I think there's
Mhm.
some great stories, and I'm thinking about it. One of the best songs on that album is Adolescence '03, where J. Cole's talking about how he's in this predicament of, do I want to sell drugs and live this life like my friends are, they look like they're doing well, they got
Yeah,
the money,
living
they
the
got
life.
the
Yeah.
girls, they got
Yeah.
the attention, or do I want to live this life where I go to college and I go to St. John's and
Mhm.
I do the work and whatever that looks like for me,
Sure,
and that's
sure.
nothing different than what I'm used to seeing. And then he talks about his friends being an advocate for him to go, hey, go the college route. Like, you don't want to
Right.
be here, like do the college thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're trying to find a sense of purpose, or you feel like you're isolated or a weirdo for not wanting to go do drugs or not wanting to go treat women badly, then I would recommend listening to this album and be like, yeah, there is always an alternative. There
There's
always
another
there's some
choice.
Yeah.
choice.
He's a great lyricist.
He
I
is.
love it.
He definitely is.
All right.
So, Zion, we really want to thank you for being here
Of course.
and just really appreciate your time today. Tell everybody where they can find you in these social streets.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me personally at Zion__Givens, and then you can follow the company Up to It at Up to It AZ. That's all one word, and we should be the first one that pops up.
All
So
right. Good stuff. Good
Awesome.
stuff.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I learned a lot during this part one or part two.
Mhm.
Definitely look for part one to get the full story of Zion. We also want to thank our sponsors, Coffee and Procure Talent Management Group.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I am the CEO and founder of Procure Talent Management Group. I'm also the VP of the Black HR Society
Good one.
Professional Development and Membership. You can find me on the social handles as well, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Yep.
We also can find me at Shatima. We want to talk about it.com for the
Yeah.
podcast. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Procure Talent Management Group is an HR consulting firm that specializes in talent management. So how we attract, hire, retain, and develop employees. Super excited to be here. TJ, you want to go ahead and go through your handles?
Sure. Coffee is consulting options for you. We help individuals build legacy wealth. We start with your personal credit. If you need credit or have credit challenges, we can help you build and repair. And if you want to start a business, we'll help you with that and also to upscale your business. You can find me at TJ at wewannnatalkaboutit.com. The podcast also is on social. Let's talk about it. The podcast on every single social platform as well. We want to give a shout out and thank you to the Black HR Society, who also has sponsored the podcast. You can find Black HR Society on every platform as well. Black HR Society is our handles. Please be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe to all of those socials I just mentioned. And you can also find us on your favorite podcast show or link wherever you find your podcast. Thank you for attending and following us here. We welcome you back in a few weeks, and we hope you've enjoyed the show.
Thank you for tuning into Let's Talk About It, the podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found inspiration in the stories and experiences shared. We trust that you were entertained, learned something new, and felt inspired by today's show. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, share, and join us for the next episode. Until then, keep the conversation going and let's keep talking about it.